Welcome to Family Finance. Please remember that the information in this video is for entertainment and general information only. You should always do your own research. You can read my full disclaimer in the description box below. This video is about comparing paying extra off your mortgage or using that money to invest. In this video, I'll chat about some financial assumptions that you should have in place before investing. Some considerations to help you decide which approach might be best for you. Then we will compare 3 different example scenarios. If you like this video and find it helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up because it really helps to support my channel. So before investing, it would be assumed that you would have a substantial emergency fund, and of course how much that would be different for everyone. And that you would have paid off your high interest debt, because the share market returns will never be able to beat the interest rates on some of those debts. You'll also need to consider your risk tolerance. Paying off your home loan is the safest option. It's a guaranteed return. If you have a low risk tolerance, then this is the best option for you. Investing in the stock market is riskier. It's not a guaranteed return. We can use history to make calculations about performance, but we can never be 100% sure of the future performance of the stock market. There are also tax considerations to keep in mind. Paying off your home is tax-free, but if you receive dividends from your investments, then you're going to have to pay tax on these. You don't have to pay tax on capital gains as long as you don't sell. This is why many middle and high income earners will focus on investments for capital growth rather than dividends, so they don't have to worry about paying tax on the dividends. I also think it's important to consider how much you're paying towards your mortgage, and if it's down to a reasonable amount, that if you or your partner lost your jobs, that you would still be able to afford your mortgage on one wage. I would probably want my loan to value ratio to be under 70% as well, just to give that little bit of a safety net buffer. Having the loan repayment down to 30% of our wage is also another indicator to check that our mortgage is down to a manageable amount before investing. Home loan interest rates are an important deciding factor when choosing to pay down the mortgage or invest. Interest rates are quite low at the moment, and that will have an impact on the returns of paying extra off the mortgage versus investing. If interest rates were to rise again, I would probably reassess our plans on whether or not we pay down the mortgage or invest. For the home loan rate in my examples today, I've used 2.9%, and for the investment return, I've used a conservative 5.6%, and this amount has been adjusted for tax, and I'll show you how I came up with that 5.6%. So for the examples in this video, I began with a 7% rate of return. I then decided that 3.5% would come from dividends and 3.5% would come from capital growth. You don't pay tax on the capital growth as long as you don't sell. So I applied our tax rate of 32.5% to the 3.5% of dividends, which then became 2.1%. I then added the 2.1% to the 3.5% capital growth. Of course, these splits could be different depending on what you're invested in and if you're focusing on dividends or capital growth. And that's why I chose a 50-50 split for this example. So in our examples today, the 3 different people have $250 spare money each week that they're going to either pay off their mortgage or invest. In example 1, this person is going to put $250 towards paying off their mortgage, and once their mortgage is paid off, they will invest this $250 and the mortgage repayment amount into the stock market. In example 2, this person is going to split the $250 and is going to pay $125 extra off the mortgage and is going to put $125 towards investing. Once the mortgage is paid off, they will also put the mortgage repayment amount with the $250 towards investing. In example 3, this person isn't going to pay anything extra off the mortgage and they're going to put that extra $250 a week into investing for the entire home loan term of 30 years. The mortgage in these examples will be a $450,000 loan with a term of 30 years at 2.9%. This equals $432 a week repayment. In example 1, the $250 extra a week has allowed this person to pay off their mortgage within 16 years. This means that they are now able to invest that extra $250 a week plus the mortgage repayment of $432 into the stock market for 14 years. So they are investing $682 a week for 14 years. At the end of the 30 years, this person has a paid-off home and they will have an investment account worth $751,000. In example 2, where the person was splitting their $250 between the mortgage and investing, they will have paid off their mortgage within 21 years. So they have been investing their $125 a week for 21 years. And now that they've paid off their home, they're now able to invest $682 a week for the remaining 9 years. At the end of the 30 years, this person has a paid-off home and they will have an investment account worth $842,000. And then there is example 3, where the person didn't pay anything extra off the mortgage and they were investing that $250 a week from the beginning in the stock market. And at the end of the 30 years, this person has a paid-off home and they will have an investment account worth $1,008,000. So here we can see the 3 different results from the 3 different strategies. Person 2 ends up with $91,000 more than person 1. Person 3 ends up with $166,000 more than person 2. And person 3 ends up with $257,000 more than person 1. And this was with quite a conservative rate of return. The numbers would be even more if this was a 7 to 8% after-tax return. What often gets forgotten in these calculations is what if these 3 people continue to invest for another 10 years? The differences in the amounts would grow to be even bigger because person 3 is now starting with a lot bigger balance, so the compounding will have even more of an effect. So after another 10 years, person 2 will have $159,000 more than person 1. Person 3 will have $290,000 more than person 2. And person 3 will have $450,000 more than person 1. That's getting close to nearly having $500,000 more for inputting the same amount of money as person 1. All these calculations show the importance of investing early and allowing compound interest to do its thing. If you'd like to see this explained further, you might enjoy my video about how I got my husband on board with investing. Thanks for listening. Don't forget you can also find me on Instagram and Facebook. See you next week.